What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's already been a couple of weeks, and that means it's time for another episode of the Never Seen It series, where I give you my thoughts and opinions about movies I've never seen before in my entire life. Do I love them? Do I hate them? But most importantly, do I recommend them to you? There's always a best of the batch, and there's always a worst. Everything else kind of just falls in between. So before I show you what I've been watching, if you happen to be brand new here at my channel and you love physical media and everything to do with movies, but you are not yet subscribed, then hit the red subscribe down below, as well as the like button, but most importantly, the small notification bell so you don't miss anything in the future. So what movie did I enjoy the most out of the batch? And I'm going to try to keep this video moving because I've been watching a lot of movies the past couple of weeks. So this movie that I love the most, I actually watched just a couple of nights ago, and it was an experience. You know when you watch movies and it's an experience? This was one of them. The Woman King. I regret not seeing this one in theaters because I know if I did, wow, it would have been phenomenal. Viola Davis. That's all you need to say. She is so amazing and incredible. I gush about her on this channel all the time. I just think she's amazing. She's one of the best actresses working right now. She's so talented. I think she's a chameleon. She can go into any role and just completely take it over. I loved her in this movie. The supporting cast is amazing. They all give great performances. It's wonderful to look at, great cinematography. Now, I know that this movie, based on true events, kind of got a little bit of backlash when it first came out in theaters because of the accuracy of the tale being told. So I'm not really sure how much it differs from what happened in real life. That I would have to look up. But taking the movie for face value for what it is, the story in front of you, it's amazing and incredible. And Viola Davis just proves the queen that she is. She is a queen, and I just love her. Oh my God, I love this movie so freaking much. Mama Blu-ray and I loved this film. So if you have not seen The Woman King, definitely watch it. Watch it on digital, streaming, pick up the 4K, whatever you guys can do. Definitely take your time and watch The Woman King. Okay, let's move on next to a double dose of Eddie Murphy with Beverly Hills Cop Part 1 and 2. I mean, there really isn't anything big to say about these movies. They're funny. They're funny comedies. You have Eddie Murphy, obviously plays a cop in the first film. His best friend is murdered, and he goes out to Beverly Hills to try to figure out what happened, solve the case. And then in the second movie, this is the second movie, right? Yeah, in the second movie, he rejoins forces with Beverly Hills cops yet again and solve another crime. I mean, this is perfect, funny, mindless entertainment. I had a great time with both of them. Where is part 3 on 4K? We need part 3 on 4K. It's probably coming, but we need it sooner rather than later. So really enjoyed Beverly Hills Cop. All right, going into some criterions. I actually watched 4, but I have 3 in a row right now because one of them, is it the worst? We'll see. Okay. So the first criterion, wildlife. Carey Mulligan, Paul Dano wrote and directed this. Jake Gyllenhaal is in this movie as well. However, there is a point where Jake Gyllenhaal leaves the movie for a significant amount of time, and Carey Mulligan is more of the focus of this film. Pretty much what happens in this movie, it is the downward spiral, the breakdown of a marriage and a relationship, and the entire family dynamic just shifts around. When the movie first starts, you kind of think like they're a little bit of a perfect family, like they have a good dynamic going on, but then something occurs where Jake Gyllenhaal's character has to leave the family to go and work. He doesn't leave the family. He's doing it for a good reason, good intentions. But Carey Mulligan, her character just flips on a dime, and she just changes into a person that is just so unlikable. This character just becomes someone that you don't even want to associate with. She is a horrible, horrible person. What she does to her son is so wrong in this movie. It's very intriguing. I was paying attention to this film the entire time. I was engrossed in it. Paul Dano, who we all know, probably everyone best knows him now as the Riddler from the Batman movie. Incredible job. He did an incredible job with this. So I enjoyed this one. Great criterion selection. Next up, In A Lonely Place with Humphrey Bogart. This is where he plays a character. He's actually a screenwriter in Hollywood who is accused of a murder, and his alibi lives in the same like apartment complex that he does, and it's a true alibi. He did not commit the murder. And these two kind of connect. However, the problem in this film is that Humphrey Bogart's character kind of just like what's the word? Monopolizes himself, I guess you would say. He ruins the relationship on his own, because inside of his head, he just kind of gets a little bit crazy because the cops don't clear him right away. Sabotage. That's what I want to say. He sabotages the relationship all on his own. It's very intriguing. Another great story, great black and white selection. So if you have not checked out In a Lonely Place, I recommend this one too. This one was really good. Okay, next Criterion. I was on a roll, let me tell you. I was like, I am watching some Criterions. All right. On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. I've had this Criterion in my collection, I think I said before, about 2.5 years. And this is the first time I have watched this thing. I vowed to watch this, and I really enjoyed it. I was surprised it was only about 90 minutes long. For some reason, I thought it was over 2 hours. This won Best Picture, Best Actor, Screen. It won like 8 Oscars. So I knew this movie was obviously an amazing film, but I didn't realize how great it was going to be. Marlon Brando plays, what is he? A longshoreman, but he's also working for the mob, and he's torn because someone that he got rid of is the brother of a woman that he's interested in, and he's kind of torn between those two situations. Does he remain loyal to the mob that he's working for on the side, or does he confess to the sister? You know, like, this is a very complicated story. Another great black and white film, and I highly enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. Especially if you love Marlon Brando, you got to pick this one up. This is a must get. Okay. I have 3 in a row here that I'm just going to toss out. Oop, I hit the camera. Sorry. We got the Hellboy movies. Okay, so we watched all 3 of the Hellboys. Well, we all watched the first 2 Hellboys, and then I watched the remake with David Harbour on my own. Okay, so the first 2 Hellboys, there we go. The first 2 Hellboys, Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he has a certain signature with his movies. They always have kind of like the same kind of look and feel. Guillermo del Toro is definitely his own kind of director, and I can appreciate that. I really loved Ron Perlman in this role. I thought he was perfect casting for this. I have no prior knowledge of the Hellboy, the Gothic novels or the comics. I have no prior knowledge of any of those things. So I'm just going in watching these movies, and they were entertaining. We had a great time with it. I enjoyed this one. This one, I'm very upset to say, because I love my David Harbour and I'm rooting for him with everything. But with this remake of Hellboy, it just didn't work for me. I prefer Ron Perlman. I gotta be honest. I do prefer Ron Perlman in the part. And actually, I was watching the special features for this one, and apparently this movie is more accurate to the source material, but it didn't mesh with me. I didn't care for it. I didn't care for the story. I didn't care what was going on. I thought David Harbour kind of looked ridiculous. I don't know, which is really horrible to say, but I don't know. It was like David Harbour dressed up like Hellboy for Halloween, and he was doing an imitation of Ron Perlman. I just didn't really jive with it. I hate to say it because I love David Harbour. I don't know. It just didn't work. It didn't work for me, but I didn't hate it. It's not at the bottom of the pile, as you could see. So it wasn't the most horrible thing I watched. It was just disappointing. It was a letdown. Okay, moving on. We've got Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. Yes, I finally watched this. Now, this is a film that I have seen bits and pieces of a long time ago. So once something gets past beyond like 15, 20 years, I put it into the never seen it pile because I got to refresh my memory. So I do remember seeing bits and pieces of this, but this is, a first timer, like all the way through, beginning to end. I enjoy Tom Cruise playing a villain, playing a bad guy, because it's like Harrison Ford. He never plays a bad guy. Well, he did once. But you know what I mean? It's always great to see the hero of every movie play a villain. So that's always a plus. I do think, however, this movie was a tad bit too long. I believe it's over 2 hours. It doesn't need to be 2 hours. 15, 20 minutes probably easily could have been shaven off of this thing. So other than that, I honestly have no complaints. Enjoyed the ride with this one. It was entertaining. So I do recommend Collateral. Okay, next up on 4K, Escape from LA with Kurt Russell, directed by the ever-famous John Carpenter. They have a great director-actor pairing. I always love when the same directors and actors work together, because they have this chemistry. They have a dynamic, and I'm not really sure how many movies they've made together, but they've done enough together where they know each other's moves. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Escape from LA, not the most original plot line. It's pretty much a carbon copy of Escape from New York. But you know what? Who cares? Who cares? This was a lot of fun. I love the character, Snake Plissken that Kurt Russell plays. It's great. It's just mindless, dumb entertainment. So I will take the Escape from LA and New York movies any day of the week. It was fun. It was a good time. This one was also a good time, sometimes in parts of it. Good Morning Vietnam. Finally watched Good Morning Vietnam. Robin Williams is so incredible in this movie. The shtick in the radio station, that is where he shows his brilliancy. I mean, yes, he's good when he's outside the radio station, and he's more of a dramatic. I gotta say, in this movie, he really showed his drama and also his comedy in the same exact movie, which is very rare for people to do. But he really showed it. And I think he was nominated for an Oscar for this. I think someone said this was his first Oscar nomination. And I could truly see why he was nominated, because balancing both of those is a very difficult thing to do. But he really showed how great he was in the radio station, being on the radio. I can probably guarantee you everything he did was improv, because there's no way that you can tell me that everything that he said was scripted. It was probably a very vague script, but Robin Williams probably just went off the rails and did everything improv. And that just shows what a genius he was. So this was a great movie. Really, really enjoyed it. All right, this one. The Yards, Mark Wahlberg, a very young babyface Charlize Theron. Oh my God, she was so young in this movie. Also Joaquin Phoenix. So I was super hyped for this film because I didn't even know it existed. I think I found it on blu-ray.com and I'm like, wow, it's got Joaquin, it's got Charlize. Those are my favorite actor and actress. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get this movie. It was just okay. It was just okay to me. It wasn't what I expected it to be. I don't know. I didn't even have like a preconceived notion for this. I just thought it was gonna be good. I mean, I guess it was good, but it was kind of boring in spots just a little bit for me. I was getting a little bit sleepy, but I woke up immediately. I didn't fall asleep during this one, but it wasn't as good as I thought. But definitely with a second watch, it'll probably enhance my experience. And I don't think there was any closed captioning for this movie. There's no subtitle option, which I hate. I don't understand that. We need subtitles with every single movie. So that was a negative too. That's not the movie's fault. That's the, technical fault. But just to let you guys know, no subtitles with The Yards. Okay. Next up, we're just going on a roll. Okay. We got Idle Hands. This one was nuts. This one was crazy. I mean, it's a horror comedy. It's a horror comedy. I mean, what can I really say about this movie? I can't give it a big, huge critique. It doesn't suck. It's not the best movie on the planet. It's certainly not the best horror comedy on the planet, at least not in my opinion. But it was fun. It was a good time. I think I watched this at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I fell asleep right after it was done. And you know what? It was what it was. I will say, Devon Sawa, I think that's his name. Yeah, Devon Sawa, who plays the lead character of this movie, I gotta give him credit for acting with his hand and the physicality that he had to do in this movie. That was impressive. That was impressive to me because he literally had his hand take over his entire body. So to have that happen and actually make it believable, I give you credit. I give you kudos. So that was impressive. But I mean, it's a basic horror comedy. It's just fun. definitely pick it up on a sale. You don't need to pay full price for that one. The surprise of this batch, I did not think I was going to enjoy this as much as I did. Where the Crawdads Sing. Now, this movie was like a sleeper hit at the box office. No one thought this movie was going to make the amount of money that it did. Wow, I really enjoyed this film. Now, this is based on a book. I never read the book. I had no prior knowledge. I had no idea this was a book at all. So I heard this was a book, and sometimes that can go either way. It's like, accuracy to the book or whatever. But I heard that this apparently is very close to the adaptation, or this is a great adaptation from the book. There we go. This was really good. I was fully engrossed in this. When things were happening to this lead character, I was like, oh no. I was vocal with this movie. I was like, oh no, no, she didn't do it. What? I was reacting. I never react like that. Usually it's with like horror films or something like that. I'm like, don't do that. Nope, that's a mistake. I was reacting to Where the Crawdads Sing. I was really invested in what happened to this character in this movie. And it's got a twist. It's got a twist at the very end. I did not see coming, and I always love and enjoy that. So this was the surprise of the bunch. I recommend Where the Crawdads Sing. Great pickup for only $9.99. I got it on Black Friday deal. So that was a great pickup. Okay. This one was disappointing. I had higher expectations and I was disappointed with this one. It's the Black Dahlia. This is one I've been wanting to watch for a while now. This is obviously based on the true events that happened in, I believe, the 40s. A woman was murdered in Hollywood. The case is still not solved. And they just named her the Black Dahlia. She pretty much was disemboweled. Like they cut up her face like Joker. It was like a really horrible murder. Now you have Josh Hartnett in this movie. Who else is in here? ScarJo's in here. What's his name? Oh, the other guy. Aaron Eckhart. I can never remember his name. Hilary Swank is also in this movie. I had higher expectations for some reason. I think the big problem with this movie, it took a little while to get going, because when the movie starts, it doesn't dive into the Black Dahlia case right away. It kind of gives you like a background on our two main characters that are the detectives for the case. I don't care about their backstory together. Give me the Dahlia case. I don't care about your personal history. You guys, wanting a three-way relationship with ScarJo. I don't care about that. No, I want to know about the Black Dahlia. So it took a little bit to get going, which made it longer than what it needed to be. In my opinion, the movie kind of dragged just a little bit. So this one, I don't recommend. I'm not even sure if I would ever watch this movie again. I gotta be honest. Maybe another time. I don't know, but I'm leaning towards no. I don't think so. So the Black Dahlia, you don't need to have this in your collection. I mean, I would think the only reason I'm going to keep this probably is because ScarJo's in it, and, to complete my ScarJo collection. I don't know, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Black Dahlia, unfortunately. This one, getting into some psychos and stalkers. Okay. Unsane. Ooh, this one was better than I expected it to be. So I picked this one up by chance. I think at Big Lots for like $3 or $5. And I was like, you know what? It's cheap enough. Let me give this one a chance. So I believe this was filmed on an iPhone or an iPad or something like that. So that's insane. Insane. No pun intended. But I watched like the one little snippet of special features, and it showed the director, who's Steven Soderbergh, filming on an iPhone and an iPad, something like that. So no real big technical equipment at all whatsoever. And he made a pretty decent movie out of this. You have Claire Foy, who goes to a therapist, and she signs some paperwork, and that was a big mistake because unbeknownst to her, the paperwork that she signed commits herself to a mental facility for 24 hours. And because she freaks out about it, then they hold her for a week. It's even longer. And it's all like this big scam with insurance and things like that. But on top of all of this, she sees her stalker working in the mental hospital. So she doesn't know if it's real or if he's a figment of her imagination. And then you're trying to figure out, is she crazy? or is he existing? So that's the hook of the story, and I thought it was really good. I mean, it's not the most rewatchable film, I will say that, but I'm happy I have it in my collection. I'll probably watch it again in like maybe a year or two. I don't know. But it was fun. It was a fun watch. So pick it up for like $3. It's worth it. It is worth it. The next crazy psycho on my list is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is stalking Hilary Swank in The Resident. So Hilary Swank plays someone, a doctor actually, that moves to a different city. She needs an apartment. She goes to see this place. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the landlord of the building, and he rents it to her, and he becomes instantly obsessed with her. It's kind of one of those apartment buildings that from the backside, there's like a complete hallway behind the apartment. So he's just like walking around. There's secret passages and doorways. He's walking in and out of her apartment constantly, which is so freaky and weird. There's one scene in here where there is a two-way mirror in the bathroom, like floor to ceiling. And at one point towards the end of the movie, he like busts through it. And that was like the scariest part of this movie. That was a great scene. I love that. That was a great shot. But other than that, it's kind of like a basic stalker movie. Nothing overly fantastic about this film. There's definitely better psycho, stalker, obsessive films, there we go, out there. So this one isn't like a need to have, but if you want to bulk up your collection, then I recommend you get it. And don't spend any more than like $10 for this. You can find it for like $6.99. Perfect. There you go. Pick up The Resident. Another psycho stalker. However, this one is more like stalker, serial killer, and that is The Watcher with Keanu Reeves. What's his name? Oh, James Spader. I always forget his name. James Spader is the cop trying to capture Keanu Reeves, and then Marissa Tomei is in this movie as well. She plays James Spader's therapist. This one was just fun to watch. Like I mentioned earlier with Tom Cruise, it's great to see someone that usually plays the hero play a villain. I mean, we never see Keanu Reeves play a bad guy, like ever. So for him to play a serial killer, wow, like totally opposite end of the spectrum. But this one was a good, solid movie. I'm not totally over the moon with it, but it's one I will watch again. I do think it's worth your time, but maybe not a physical pickup. If you could find it on streaming, I would stream it. But I'm definitely going to keep it. I will watch it again. Like I said, seeing Keanu play bad, that was entertaining. Okay, one final movie before the worst of the batch. Here we go. It's Clint Eastwood in Play Misty for me. So Clint Eastwood, this one was fun. Ooh, my knee cracked. Clint Eastwood, I'm sure you guys heard that. Clint Eastwood plays like a radio DJ. And this woman always calls in wanting the song Misty to be played for her. So, yeah, little psycho. So he's out at kind of like a local restaurant, and this woman comes up to him and kind of like schmoozes into his life, and he discovers this is the woman that wants Misty being played. And she's like a full-on Glenn Close in this movie. She wants a relationship. They like sleep together a couple times, and after that, in her brain, she thinks that they're in love. She wants a relationship. She's coming over with bags of groceries to cook dinner. Like, she's just ruining everything. And Clint Eastwood actually wants to be with a different woman who's kind of like giving him the, like the pull and pull with the, the tug and pull with the relationship, like she wants to be in a relationship, but can she trust him, So he really wants to be with someone else. And he's kind of just like, shagging this other chick on the side, just because he can, because he's Clint Eastwood. But the other chick does not take rejection very well, obviously. So this is your typical psycho stalker film. This was great. It was a lot of fun. I mean, this is obviously earlier than Fatal Attraction, so this is like the real granddaddy of the stalker films. I enjoyed this one. It is from Kino Lorber. So when Kino Lorber has their sales, try to pick this one up. I think I picked it up for like $8.99. Very cheap price and worth it. Okay. So what movie was the worst of this most recent batch? Unfortunately, yet again, it is a Criterion. It's a Criterion. Unfortunately, it's Keanu Reeves, because I love Keanu and I usually am a fan of all of his work, but not this one. My Own Private Idaho. All right. I know a lot of you are going to say, Susan, didn't you read the back? Like, didn't you know what it was going to say? Yes, I did. Yes, I did read the back. I read the back of it. So, plot synopsis of this film. You have Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix over here. R.I.P. And they are two hustlers, aka they are male prostitutes for men. Okay, whatever. Nothing wrong. You got to make a living, right? But this movie, the way it was done, the plot line, I have nothing wrong with the plot line at all whatsoever. They are two hustlers. Yes, they sleep with men. Okay, whatever. And River Phoenix's character is in love with Keanu Reeves' character. He does not reciprocate the feelings. Okay. They kind of go on this adventure because River Phoenix wants to find his mother. He was abandoned. He's got issues, clearly, probably why he's a street hustler. There's always a reason. So you got to assume that, that's the reason. So, basic plot line, okay, it sounds like an interesting movie. I have no problem with the plot line. The way this movie comes across is just so odd and so weird and strange. The way it's shot, I don't know. I did not enjoy this movie. I did not enjoy this movie whatsoever. I'm laying here watching it in my bed. The entire time it's on my screen, I'm like, what am I watching right now? What is this? Because I don't even know. I just don't like it. I just did not like it. It was not shot in the way, the story was not told in the way I thought it was going to go for some reason. It was just so random and weird. It felt like a random mix of scenes put together. And then you have these weird side characters. It was just strange. And then River Phoenix's character has narcolepsy on top of it. So he's like falling asleep in the middle of the road sometimes. It's just weird. It is so freaking strange. And I really hate that it's another criterion that I do not like. I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. I don't want to. I have no desire to watch this film again, which really makes me sad because I spend a pretty penny on criterions, and to never want to watch it again really sucks. But I can honestly say, do not pick up this movie. I do not recommend it at all whatsoever. I had different thoughts about the film. I think because of who directed it. I think it's Gus Van Sant. Yes, Gus Van Sant directed this film. I think his style, I don't really dig. I don't like Gus Van Sant's style of directing. I think it's a little odd, a little strange. So I think that was the problem. I think if it was a different director that had control of this movie, the story would have come off in a different way. But for me personally with this film, it did not work. So my own private Idaho, I do not recommend. Do not waste your money picking it up. No. Just say no to Idaho. That's all I got to say. Just say no to Idaho. So it's a criterion. I'm not going to toss it across the room, but I am going to do this. Toss it behind me. So that is everything that I've been watching lately. Comment down below and let me know, what have you been watching lately? And do you agree with my thoughts about any of these movies? Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time.